Patrick Johnston covers the Canucks for the province in PostMedia. We really should get you in Victoria at the Ledge, though, covering the province. Go. I think you'd be a great... You, Baldry, Zussman. You and Zussman. Two bald-headed guys covering the Premier. It'd be awesome.
Well, like Richard and I actually have... His dad and my dad were like old-time political science colleagues, or like university professor colleagues. I guess his dad taught economics. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, Richard and I have known each other literally forever. Mm-hmm. Although, we've only now that we're fathers and, media people that we actually like.
He's a great reporter. One of the best in the country. Yeah.
And you know what? The underrated thing about Richard, and it's hard to people watching on video can do this, but there are few like on-screen demonstrative pointers, like when they do their stand-up and then he's like this place, and he does this turn with his hand and he points. And there's almost no one better in this country.
He's the TVest guy who ever TV'd.
Yes,
we went to the same boys' school in Ottawa. I went for disciplinary reasons. He went because he was an achiever.
My old rugby coach is at Ashbury.
It didn't work. It didn't take.
Anyway.
You're coming to us from the prison library, I'm guessing, with the orange jumpsuit on. It's nice that they've given you this many books.
You on a day pass?
Flyers orange, guys. Flyers orange.
Oh, are you trying to tell us something, Peach?
No.
Hey, let's start on Tocchet.
Yeah.
I almost, we asked the question earlier in the week, will you feel betrayed if Tocchet is coaching in the NHL next year? And a lot of people voted depends on the team and put and put Seattle and Anaheim on the list because that's not East, right? Rutherford told us he was going East. Anaheim is filled. You apparently are going to serve with Joel Quenneville on their bench.
Yeah, Ducks orange.
Given your attire today.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But if Tocchet gets hired by the Seattle Kraken, and Jeff Merrick told us yesterday, Seattle was interested in Rick Tocchet before, so don't be surprised if Seattle offers the job to Rick Tocchet that he's their number one candidate. Yeah. If Tocchet is offered and accepts the job in Seattle, will this market go nuts? Will this market have a reason to go nuts?
Well, I think it will be yet another sort of, there's a team that knows how to do it right nearby. Yes, that as landing places go, the farther away he lands, the less kind of the less frustrating I think it will be, or a reminder of frustration will be for people. Obviously, landing in Seattle is as close as it gets, whether they're the true rival or not. It's just literally the distance. You'll see him all the time.
You have no idea how many Canucks fans got into my mentions after he left. It's for personal reasons. Quit making it look like it was a big, bitter split.
No, I was trying to make something work. But no,
if he's hired in Seattle, guys, you guys are just terrible. I need not to be involved with you becomes very clear.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing. Jason Botterill just got hired, right? He is hired to a 5-year contract, right? If you are looking as a coach, and you want to think about, and I think I talked about this last week, but you want to think about who your boss is going to be, right? There's stability there. There's a commitment to the GM for 5 years. Mm-hmm. So it is unlike, and then the ownership and everything else that's gone on in that organization. They have misfired on the ice, but off the ice, they've gotten everything right. And so there's a thing to think about. If you want to consider the options in front of him, the teams that we've seen him linked to, obviously Philly, I think there is a reasonable amount of stability there, but where is that team in comparison to some of the other options? That is a fair comment about Philly as well. Philly have some fun, Seattle have some fun young players, right? But they've made some mistakes, and so they need a confident new direction, I think, and we'll see what Botterill does there. But Philly, there's some interesting guys, but they're also they're a long way. It's hard to see how they're in a different spot from the Canucks, right? Boston, how secure is Don Sweeney, right? He's been there for a long time, and they had a terrible year, and he's misfired on some stuff. He's done some things well, but overall, I think there's questions about Don Sweeney. So, if this is what I said last week, I think it may be that he ends up landing in a non-obvious place at least not a place that we've considered to this date, because he's a guy that's sitting there going, I would have a huge opportunity. If he had seen more stability here, Quinn Hughes, Jim Rutherford, Patrick Allvin, he probably stays. But I think he sat back and had to be honest with what he saw in front of him and said, I need to see what's out there and find something that I think is going to work for 3
Well, he needs better, and he knows he's in demand. And so why not go now as opposed to having another disastrous season with the Canucks next year where you're probably not the as hot a coaching candidate. We should also mention he worked with Botterill in Pittsburgh. So there's personal rapport there, as there is with Keith Jones, the president of the Flyers. One other thing, we started this segment with Blake saying swag, and then you just said Canucks. I feel like I'm in a episode of Schitt's Creek with Moira, extending the vowel sounds.
Yeah.
Are either of you Catherine O'Hara or trying to imitate her?
No, this is just style. She's got style. We got style.
She's got great style.
Yeah.
Icon.
As long as he doesn't slip into his Boston Brahmin accent that I know he's been working on for all these years.
No, not happening.
What did this week tell you about the Canucks coaching search?
Well, I mean, look, the names we're seeing floated around, and
Are they searching? Are they working on the? Are they working on the file? Do you think?
Oh yeah.
Okay, let me ask you the between the eyes question. Manny wins tonight. They go to the third round. Is Manny Malhotra the next head coach of the Vancouver Canucks?
I think whether they win or not, I think he is the race leader because he's a guy and I'm sure is affordable.
He's
exactly. Matthew's, for those listening, Matthew's holding his fingers up in the way that you scrunch your money. And for those who don't know what money is made of paper. And you used to have
the good kind is made of paper.
The only way you could pay.
Mm-hmm.
So
remember, we like the stuff.
His negotiations with whoever over the years, that's the first thing he walks in the room, just holding his hands up like that.
Like Johnny Manziel. And remember, we like the stuff that jingles, but we prefer the stuff that folds.
Okay, so let's go down the road. They hire Manny Malhotra.
Yeah.
What does Quinn Hughes think? How good is the team? Do they have a chance?
Manny's done a good job. I think we've seen that Manny has progressed as a coach. Obviously was here and came in as kind of a bit of a development kind of guy, grew into a handy person on Travis Green's staff, went to Toronto because they offered a quote promotion, but also just more money. And I think, again, stability, a chance to work for an organization that had a clear sense of itself. In a difficult time, it was, let's not forget, the deep pandemic. And then got hired to run a AHL team and has done a fantastic job in his first year being a head coach. Now, that is the only thing is that, okay, do it again. He's done well with this challenge. How is he going to do with another challenge? Now, obviously, you don't know, but he clearly has something there. So you come in, and I think he comes in. He'll be a quality coach. He knows obviously how to talk to players. The thing that then becomes a question is how does the roster shake out, right? So you look at how this team has $15, $16, $17 million in cap space. You need to find a winger. You're not bringing. I don't think bringing Brock Besser back. You need probably to find it. You do need to find a center. Can you get another Jake DeBrusk type player or a Pia Suter type player? And a center in that pile of money? Can you make a different trade and bring in, what does your roster look like? And is it competitive next year? And is it going to go anywhere? That is beyond all else. I don't think the coach, give or take, is a main thing. I think is how does this roster look and can they actually do anything next year? Or are they just once again trying not to sink under the water?
Allvin told the season ticket holders they'd like to bring Brock back. AFP projects 6 years at 8.5 per. Yeah. Do you think he was just paying lip service to a beloved Canuck, or do you think there's genuine interest there at roughly that freight?
Well, I think there is interest. I think there is absolutely interest. But Besser, I think he's a guy that's going to be very interested to see who the coach is. If there is any hope here, I think if Tocchet had come back, I think there's a better chance that he would have come back. I think he and Rick had quite a good relationship. Everything else, obviously, I think we well know piles up, and obviously frustrated how the manager talked about him at the deadline. And just the kind of constant that sort of grinding at how he plays and what he is and what he isn't, as opposed to what he is. Which, by the way, does seem to be a bit of a trend line with how this management team talks about the players.
Well, Matt called Besser a beloved Canuck. You would think the number one center signed for eternity would be a beloved Canuck. Never a compliment Elias Pettersson's way. Is this because they're going to trade him? Like, I can't think of another reason why you would not try to prop up your guy.
Or they're being honest. He's not professional enough. He's not hardworking enough. And they are done trying to get through to him personally because it hasn't worked. So they're doing it publicly.
Both.
Well, I think you also have, I think on that note, you are also have to play to your roster, right? Like this is, I will say this much. Like, I can tell you that most, if not all of his teammates got very frustrated with him, right? And it's not just about the Miller stuff. It is about the stuff that Allvin in that, those of us seen that video that Allvin intimated, which was that he did not, and I don't think Alvin's the only one who said that. I think Tochet's that he did not show up prepared. Now, yes, okay, he was perhaps dealing with knee tendonitis, but there are other ways to get yourself fit. And his fitness testing, he just wasn't prepared. And I think they felt bad to a certain degree of constantly bringing up Sidney Crosby, because Sidney Crosby is in many ways a one-of-one type character. But the point is that you show up and it's a presence. And Petey, even if you're not a loud guy and you are a lone wolf and you aren't a guy that's going out there that says rah rah rah, and you are the complete opposite of JT Miller, there is still presence that matters and showing up that matters, and what you're doing away, to prepare yourself and doing in the gym and all these things. And if you are and it's not that you have to do it every single time, but if you are constantly not doing that, that's a problem. That said, you are absolutely correct. At the same time, look at how well this player played. He has been a star in this town, and there's a reason for that. It probably makes some sense to refer back to that. Petey, why did you find success just 16 months ago, or whatever you want to say it was, right? You were the star of the month, January 2024. How did that happen? And why isn't that happening anymore? Let's think about that. And
he can be one of the top 15 players in the league, but he's got to do X. It doesn't have to be a full-blooded, full-throated compliment, but just something that makes you think that they A, want him, B, know how to rehabilitate. The negativity upon negativity, I don't see any construction there.
No, and it's interesting that you put it that way, and I think back to a conversation I had with him. I'm trying to think back. I think it might have been two seasons ago even, but I was thinking about how things were going and kind of, nobody cares about our problems, but just frustrations I was feeling with how sort of interactions were playing out in the dressing room, and I thought, well, why don't I flip it around? What do they think? And I said something effective like, Petey, how do we do this differently? And he didn't quite get what I was referring to, but he did have a revealing answer. He goes, I'm tired of hearing about why is everything always so negative? Why is that? And so clearly what he was being, and this goes back to, I think, stuff we heard, that he was essentially getting fed stuff and he should have stopped paying attention because there was a lot of good stuff being written about him. That's what kind of caught me off guard. It's like, what? Yeah. But he was only hearing the negative.
That's always been the case.
And I think that is not a new problem for hockey players. You can think about Kuz loves telling me the stories of he would have about Todd Bertuzzi coming at him in the morning and Kuz saying, Todd, did you read the story? No. Someone showed him the headline and said it means all this. And he go, well, no, the story's this and this. And Todd go, oh, sorry. They were given the superficial and a spin on it. And he goes, well, that's not what it is at all. It does seem like Pettersson gets caught up in that. Listen, he's played like crap. And people are going to say that. And for some reason, that didn't connect, or that's never connected. So hopefully someone gets through to them saying, listen, one, stop reading the press, stop reading the media, stay off social media, stop doing all these things, listen to Quinn, show up in shape, and play your balls off. Simple.
Finer words have never been spoken.
He
says he's his own worst critic, but the fact of the matter is he goes and seeks out critics, which is so utterly bizarre.
But the team,
I hear my bird story, by the way. I was
all that's true. All what you said is true. He's got to be tougher. All of that.
Yeah.
The team also has to go to bat for him. They do. Like, if he's their guy, they have to go to bat for him, and they don't.
This is classic baby dragon stuff here.
It is.
It
Good
really
shout.
Is. I'm very impressed.
Not a contrary word about Allvin. That is the one coach that could do almost no wrong in Blake's eyes. Did you have any criticism of Allvin ever?
Yes, sure.
Who didn't he play that you wanted him to play?
I don't remember.
There were certainly
Michael Grabner.
Yeah, I mean, there was no baby Nicky.
I think you nailed it. I think I probably did say that about Ballard and Grabner. I think you're probably right.
Incidentally,
I just know the players that Blake likes.
Been
listening to him for a long time.
IMAC tells a great story about Bertuzzi. I think it's in Denver, and there's like a kid in a Canucks sweater, like milling around the outside of the rink, Bertuzzi sweater, hoping to get Todd's autograph. And IMAC like interviews him and says, "Oh, by the way, Todd, like there's a kid out there in your jersey, and he's just desperate for an autograph, and you'll see if he can make it happen." And Bertuzzi was like, "Oh, okay, we'll see. I don't know, depends on where we exit and stuff like that." And IMAC decides he's going to put him on. He's like, "Todd, you should really go out there and sign it. People relate to you. You're a working man's hero." And he's like really piling it on. And Bertuzzi looks up from the stall and goes, "You've really grown as a writer." Oh, brilliant. Okay, are we done here? Is there anything else you wanted to ask him?
No, I'm good.
Okay, so the search for a center continues for the Vancouver Canucks. Thank you, Moira. Thank you, Patrick. You have a wonderful weekend. We will see you next Thursday.
Bye, Patrick.
Take care.